Hey guys, so today we're going to go over exit strategy. So basically, there's a few basic versions of this, and then there's obviously some more advanced concepts as well. I'm going to try and cover off as much as possible, but we might have to do a more advanced video after this one. So first up, we're going to go over, I think, which is probably the most important one, which is basic market structure, right? So when we're in a bullish market, the price should always be moving up like this, right? So we're having pushes higher, and then we're making a higher high, and we're making a higher low. We're pushing higher, making a higher high, and then a higher low, higher high, higher low, right? And then what happens is when we top out, the market structure will shift and go in the other direction. We'll roll over. Right, we'll come back up and we'll make a lower high, and then we'll make a lower low and a lower high and a lower low and a lower high and a lower low, right? So I've got a bit of a diagram here. So first off, we can see we've got a really strong advance, and all through here, we're making those higher highs and higher lows. So we're trending up. Then we have this big wick out to the top, followed by our doji tail here. So the doji close. So we've got the long tail, and basically it's an indication of buyer exhaustion, and the sellers have come in and they've taken over control of the market. So all through here, the buyers and the bulls are in control, and then now this is a strong indication that we've probably flipped, and now the sellers and the bears are in control of the market, and at least we're going to get some sideways price action, which may recover and then push again, or we're going to roll over. And one of the things that we can use to tell, especially on the higher time frames, so the 4-hour and the daily charts, when we start to make those lower highs and lower lows, it can be a strong indication that the market cycle possibly has finished, right? So this isn't going to give you the exact top. Sometimes it'll be a little bit late, but definitely, if you're a super long-term investor, it's one to watch because you probably bought in very low anyway, right? And you're not trying to get the very extreme top. So we're making this lower low here, our lower high, and then we roll over, and then we made our new low, right? And when this happens, you want to be shorting the market. You want to be short the market when it comes up instead of longing the market through this area when the price pulls back, right? So we're coming up here to our previous first low, and you can see how price rejects straight off there, right? Now, the second one as well to watch for that is a really easy one is the break of a trend line. So this one actually might get you out a bit earlier as well, rather than waiting for the market structure to change. But you want to be looking at all these things, right? And you build the narrative. Okay, so we have a big pin reversal. It might be a possibility that we're going to have some sideways action because we have this change of character in the market, and we could have that change of market structure and move into a downtrend, right? So then we have the shooting star reversal. So it's telling us the sellers are in control of the market here. Next time we come back up, it's telling us that the sellers are in control of the market again because we have the double top and the shooting star again here, and then we make the new low, right? Here, a little bit different. We're having our three pushes, right? Human minds love to see things going threes. And a lot of time we'll have three pushes and then a breakdown of this trend line. And then we get the bearish retest on the other side of that and then roll over and sell off. So let's have a look at some of these in action, right? So here's a pretty good example of the trend break, right? So from the start of the push at the end of last year and the start of this year, we had a really strong incline here, and we're bouncing off it multiple times through here. And so when you do these, you want to go to the widest version of the run, right? So we can see here that there was obviously another tighter one through here, which probably would have got you out a little bit higher, but also, the market could have continued up from there. So you can sort of take that with a grain of salt. If you want to get out earlier, you might take out a little bit first if you did have one that was getting a little bit more advanced through here, and then you sell off there, right? But basically what this is telling us is instead of the market getting more, the impulse is getting stronger and stronger going up, they're actually getting weaker and weaker because we're going sideways a lot more, right? So the advance is getting weaker, which is, obviously a sign of weakness and indication that we could be rolling over soon, right? And obviously we broke this trend line through here, right? And then we break the second one through here. And you can see what happens is after we sort of make our three advances, so we had one push here, two push here, third push here, we get that at the very top here, we get the shooting star reversal, right? the bulls actually won and rejected the shooting star, but then the bears actually come in and kick in and they win the next candle and it sells off. And so you still sort of have to consider that that is almost the same thing as the shooting star playing out here. A lot of times when that does happen, it does end up in a cascade, as we can see here, right? So we had a really big sell-off and we sort of hit the range low of this distribution pattern. We come back up and you can see that we're actually getting rejected off this P block here, and then we roll over from there. So that's one thing to look at, order block. This is obviously what you would pick for an order block as well. And that lines up with a P block, which is, power block, which is from Roman's indicator. It works really well to just pick out those key levels for you. You can see this was obviously a really key level here as well. I'm pretty sure when we came back to that, we had some really interesting price action through here, right? And then came up and tagged it here and rolled over again, right? So these P blocks are pretty handy as well to help you pick tops, because if you get a P like this, especially on these short-term runs, it can be an indication that price is going to reverse. So we came up, put the P block in here, came back up, bearish retest, and rolled over. This is also a rising wedge. So that's probably another really key thing to watch out for is when the market's bullish, you're going to have, things like, reversal patterns. Sorry, this one actually popped up. The bullish divergence was on the 4 hours, so you can't really see it on the daily time frame. But you have bull flags and bullish divergences and things like that playing out, and the market pushes straight away because everybody's waiting for that next bullish setup for it to push. And then what happens is when the market flips in the other direction, instead of having those bull flags play out, you start to have the bearish setups play out. So you have things like a head and shoulders plays out instead of getting rejected, because obviously you've got the head and shoulders through here, right? If this had still been bullish, you would have done something like this, worked out, and then reclaimed that, and you would have got head and shoulders invalidation on that, and then continued to push to the upside, right? Instead, the head and shoulders confirms, and we break off and sell down. In Discord and on Facebook and stuff like that as well, I did actually call this short here because once again, we've got the shooting star setup, shooting star pattern here into a key level, and also, the potential rising wedge. So, yeah, unfortunately, I didn't play it too well when we got down here. This wick sort of threw me off. I thought we were going to rally from there, but as this was playing out, we also got Elon Musk sort of like ruin the market on that Sunday. So didn't really help with a negative news event right at the perfect time. But, we start to see these bearish patterns start to play out. So that's an indication of the top as well. Here's an indication, an example, of a distribution top, right? So characterized by a sideways movement with a rally, which gets rejected. So this is actually called a UTAD, which is up thrust after distribution, right? So we have a sideways distribution through here, you have the up thrust, and then usually what happens is you would come back and get a bearish retest at the selling climax, right? It was SC, selling climax, which is this point here. And you get that bearish retest right there, and then it sells off and nukes pretty nastily after that. So, we could be doing something like this at the moment. I think I have a chart. Oops, might have lost it. We can just go have a look at it up here anyway. Right, so possibly this is what's happening here as well. We maybe have just had an up thrust, right? And now we're just going to chop around, get rejected from here, chop around one more time, and then sell off. And that's sort of like how the distribution would look and it would play out. So the other thing I wanted to say about these distribution phases, right? Obviously, this one played out and had a really nice sell-off from the peak. It was a 20% 20% pullback. And then you see it puts in a really key important level. We come back up and then reject off that level, telling us the market is now bearish, right? So once we get back above this level here, you have to consider it's flipped and has become bullish. And it can actually be a really good level to long from, right? So through here, this sideways consolidation above the range, right? So if we take the key level from the last swing low, you can see that price was actually bouncing off this, and there was a lot of accumulation through here before we absolutely launched. So hopefully that's a couple of things. I just wanted to take a quick look at Mana on the 5 minute, because I actually managed to get out right at the top of this the other day. So here's an example of a few things that we've been talking about, right? So we have the shooting star set up here. In the next candle here, the bulls actually, they reject the shooting star reversal, but then you can see on the next candle, they win over, which is what we just looked at before, which ended up being the top of Bitcoin earlier this year, right? And then obviously we have the sell-off from there, right? So this is an indication the market's getting ready to roll over, and we just had a really strong rally. Like this last 5 minute push had been a 43% move in a very short amount of time, right? So let's just go back. Right. So what ends up happening here is it's not the ultimate top, and we actually make a new high. But we can see that as we let price sort of play out, it goes sideways and actually manages to hold a lot of strength, doesn't just nuke straight up. There was a fair bit of amount of pullback. We just bounced off the previous high, 21%. Then we went sideways. Then we have this huge next rally here. And then, yeah, you can see it again here, the really big blow off top. Now, this was a crazy one because it was a 32% move in 10 minutes. And we'd already had a massive move. I think it was 250%, in a very short amount of time. So everybody's already looking to get out. And then you get a candle that looks like this. I just sold everything that I had in the market at that point through there, right? As it was coming back down, I was like, nah, get out of this, right? And then, it rolls over, the shooting star gets locked in, and then we go sideways. So you have that change of behavior. And now we're making those lower highs, right? And then you break to the new low through here. And now you're starting to make those new lows, right? Lower highs, right? And then new low through here. And it comes back up and it actually rejects on the first sell-off. So those are always going to be important levels, that first sell-off level, the ultimate high, right? And then rejects pretty nastily from there. So that was one that actually, I was able to get out pretty much almost at the exact top. I mean, it's pretty hard to get out in, like, say, the wick like this. But when, you see selling like that, the extreme push and then selling and a close like that can be a really good indication we're going sideways or that run is over. Right, so this was just another example for the P blocks, right? Come back up and get the bearish retest of that and then sell off. So another one to look at as well is the Fibonacci levels, right? So let's just draw these in again. So what in a bull run, the fib levels should be coming back and they should be bouncing off the 618 or higher, right? And so you can see here all throughout, right? It bounced off the 618. Whoops. Bounced off the 618 again. Right. Well, this one's actually higher, right? Bounced off the 382, right? And so it shouldn't be violating and breaking that 0.618. And it doesn't do that the entire time until, we get this rally through here, right? And it actually bounces off at first here. We get wicks way below, but it bounces off and it looks like it's going to try and recover and go again. But then we really make that significant lower high and then it just ends up rolling over from there, right? And so this is a really good example. This is the previous all-time high top at 20K from 2017. If you just ran your trend line through here, it actually got you out at a pretty high level. You break that and it comes up, tries to get back above 17.5 and breaks. And then, you have that really nasty rollover because until then it just bounced off this trend and slowly got more and more vertical as time went on. Now, I just want to quickly show you the daily time frame of this top as well, because we have that similar sort of market structure where, we have the shooting star here and it actually confirms, but then we have straight into a morning star and we rally again. And this ended up being quite a nice run, another 52% or from the morning star, another 30% to the top, right? So then you have the shooting star again set up here, right? But then the bulls actually reject it and they get quite a decent close, right? So it looks like, the bulls are sort of one we might end up managing to push and go higher again. But then in the next candle, the bears really take control of the market. And then from there, it's just completely game over. So that sort of types of setups is definitely one to watch. And then you have the shooting star again here. And then you have another one here, right? So it can be a really good indication when you see these types of candles that there possibly could be a reversal coming in. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I tried to get as much in as quickly as possible, but it can be pretty tough in such a short video. If you want to learn more about our style of trading and go really in depth into all the different exit strategies that we know, you should definitely check out our course, which is a 30-hour course. So it's a lot easier to get this information across. And that is done by myself and Roman, who's the founder of Crypto Paradox. And he's actually retired now as well. So you definitely know that his strategies work to be able to retire at such a young age. But definitely get onto that. If you want to learn more, it's marketmastery.io, and the course is Market Mastery 2.0. I'll leave a link in the comments section below. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. And we'll see you all in the next video.